In November of 1987, during a broadcast of football highlights on WGN-TV in Chicago, viewers witnessed a signal interruption where a mysterious video of a man wearing a grinning Max Headroom mask interrupted the broadcast for about 25 seconds. Despite claims to the contrary, the clip did have audio.
The video had no audio.
It was a loud, staticky noise that sounded like radio signal interference. According to a WGN broadcast archived by Fuzzy Memories, it caught the anchor Dan Roan by surprise.
Well, if you're wondering what's happened, so am I. Actually, the computer that we have running our news from time to time took off and went wild, so what we're gonna do...
Max Headroom was a very popular character from a TV show in the 80s. He was purported to be artificial intelligence and marketed as the world's first computer-generated TV host, according to Vice Motherboard. However, this 15-second clip wouldn't be the last appearance of the surreptitious hijacker in Chicago that night. According to WGN, a few hours later, the pirate also knocked out the broadcast of a Doctor Who episode airing on WTTW. Except this time, the hijacker could be heard speaking and made a passing reference to a person named Chuck Swirsky.
Some dry clothes. Because he's a freaking nerd. I think I'm better than Chuck Swirsky.
According to an interview on WBUR, Chuck Swirsky was the sports director at WGN Radio at the time. And according to the interview, he was actually fearful for his life when the hijacking first occurred.
It completely caught me off guard. I was shocked. I had a couple of friends tell me, Swirsky, you better seek protection. Whoever did this had to be pretty smart and sharp to do what he did. But why he signaled out me, I have no idea.
The hijacked broadcast went on for about a minute and a half, where the mysterious man became more erratic and threw a Pepsi can at the camera.
That's the way.
This was likely a reference to a Coca-Cola advertising campaign that the real Max Headroom was a part of to market the new Coke.
If you can't beat it, catch the wave. Coke.
He also hummed the theme song to an obscure 60s cartoon called Clutch Cargo that, according to Vice Motherboard, used to air on WGN.
Clutch Cargo, with his pal Spinner and Paddlefoot, and another exciting adventure, the Haunted Castle. I've heard of the McTavish Castle for years. It's supposed to be haunted.
This pirated broadcast quickly became national news as the FCC and the FBI got involved to try to find the culprit.
For when this person is caught, he or she will face both civil and criminal penalties.
We will make sure that the full extent of the law is carried out.
The maximum penalty for signal piracy at the time was $100,000 and 1 year in prison. And as bizarre as this incident was, it wasn't unprecedented. In fact, about a month prior to the Max Headroom incident in 1987, the Playboy channel was hacked by an employee of the Christian Broadcasting Network that displayed this message. And a year earlier, a broadcast on HBO was interrupted by a disgruntled engineer who called himself Captain Midnight. He jammed HBO's broadcast in protest because he thought their fees were too high. In modern day, this would be about $36 adjusted for inflation. Captain Midnight was eventually caught, and Congress passed the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, making satellite hijacking a felony. But unlike the other cases, the Max Headroom incident remains a mystery because the person who did it was never caught. And despite the fact that people have speculated about possible suspects over the years,
But there are a few suspects.
there are 0 suspects. No one has ever been arrested or even charged for the incident. One of the more popular theories revolved around a guy named Eric Fournier, who was the creator of a surreal YouTube series called Chez St. John. The theory was that he would have done it to get exposure for his punk band, but a former band member called this theory ridiculous bullshit and said that Eric wouldn't have had the know-how to pull something like this off, and Eric couldn't confirm or deny the rumor himself because he died in 2010. Another popular theory was proposed by a computer programmer named Bowie Pogue. He made a long post on Reddit where he said he might have found the suspect. Pogue posted in 2010 that he used to hang around his local hacker scene and met 2 brothers who he identified as the initials J and K so as to not get them in trouble with the FCC. He thought that Jay might have been the culprit because he was autistic and had an unusual sense of humor that was scattered and at times sexually deviant like the real Max Headroom, who at one point during the signal hijacking held up what appeared to be a dildo. Jay also had a lot of computers scattered about his apartment and had an unusual and stilted way of talking. Plus, Pogue said that Clutch Cargo would have been the cartoon that aired during Jay's childhood.
Is that Scotty?
That's him, all right. And there he is on the porch now.
But despite some claims about a smoking gun in the case,
The real smoking gun in this case,
there was no smoking gun. After extensive communication with Chris Nattel, the writer of the Vice Motherboard article, and Rick Klein, the curator of Fuzzy Memories, Pogue officially eliminated the two brothers as suspects. Pogue learned from engineers at WGN that it was basically impossible for this to have been an outside job due to the large number of technical reasons. So, who was responsible for the hijacking? Nobody knows to this day. But in an interview with WBUR, Chris Nattel did mention a hunch that he had that he didn't fully explore, and it was the fact that months prior to the incident, WGN had a round of layoffs. So it seemed likely that someone disgruntled by the layoffs could have been the culprit, especially someone who may have been up for the same job or promotion that sportscaster Chuck Swirsky received. But for now, and perhaps forever, the mystery remains unsolved. That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Maddox with Tales from the Internet.
Because he's a freaking nerd. I think I've got Chuck Swirsky working with oh, Jesus. That's the way. Your love is fading I still see the X. Oh, my file. Oh, I guess they're giant masterpiece for all the greatest world newspaper nerds. My brother wore the other one. But it's dirty. That's what you get for my son. Oh, they're coming to get me. Oh,